Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver and my mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today I'm gonna talk about why actually deep steam tea is such a liked tea. Today we're gonna dive into a deep steamed and what actually deep steamed tea is so-called Fukamushi style steamed tea, and then I'm gonna explain you a little bit why this tea is, in my opinion, one of the most liked but most unknown tea as well, coming out of Japan. Good. So when we talk about green tea, you know that there are different kinds of green tea. We talk about bancha, we talk about sencha, we talk about gyokuro, maybe we talk even about matcha, which is the powder. But within the preparation of tea, there are also different steeping styles, meaning that normally when you take a green tea at harvest, to keep it green, you have to bring it through a steamed bath. This is actually how they do it in Japan. So you need to bring it through, the leaves go through a steaming process that they don't wither and they don't become like, for example, a semi-fermented tea like oolong, or they become even a black tea. So this is how they keep the tea green. But then in the steaming process, there are actually they exist different steaming types, which can be called, or which are called asamushi, which is lightly steamed, futsumushi, which is normal steamed, and fukamushi. And today I want to talk about the fukamushi steeping method. A steeping method which is actually quite common, and more Japanese younger people as well go for the fukamushi style tea because it is just a little bit sweeter in taste. And what they do actually, or what happens, is that through the steeping, through the longer steeping, and here we talk about around 90 to 120 seconds instead of 30 or 30 to 60 seconds, which is asamushi or futsumushi. So there we really talk about a longer steeping process. Where they go to through a steaming bath, which is just a little bit prolonged, normally around 100 degrees Celsius. So this is how this tea evolves, and what actually happens with the tea when they go through this process is that it breaks a little bit down more the cell structure of the tea, and it also brings down the bitterness in the tea. And that's why this tea is also sweeter, so it really gives it a rounded taste profile, and it gives it a little bit more of sweetness. And what is very beautiful is the color. So most possible, when you see pictures on Google or wherever you are and you type in Japanese green tea, you see this massive green, shade green, beautiful green color, and often people are surprised when they then buy a sencha. It's kind of golden or more on the yellow side, but the green, the very green color of the tea is actually coming from a fukamushi. And fukamushi for us, or deep steam tea, is not that much known. It is something which is coming slowly to the surface, and I also try to bring this a little bit closer to you, because I really believe, due to the fact that we are tending to like a little bit less the astringency in a green tea, that the fukamushi can be a great option for you also to discover Japanese green tea, and especially Japanese sencha, more from a little bit on the sweeter side. The reason or how this tea actually developed is due to the fact that, especially in the region of Shizuoka, which is the biggest region for Japanese green tea in terms of production, there we talk about 50% of all the tea which is produced there. There, after the Second World War, as the US was a very strong consumer of Japanese green tea, and as you know, or might know, these two countries have been in war against each other. This market broke down for the Japanese green tea, so they were forced to sell the tea inside their country because they couldn't export anymore, or weren't able to export it to or outside of the country, or just in a very limited way, because Japan was also around in the countries around in conflict during that time. So then what they tried to sell is that they wanted to sell their green tea within Japan. But for the Japanese people, especially the tea which came from Shizuoka, tended to be a little bit too astringent and very hard to sell in the local market. So what they started and what they came up with is actually with this prolonged steeping method of the tea, and then through the steam bath, which is then longer, there they would be able to develop a sweet tea, which was then very well accepted by the Japanese market, which kind of saved also the interior sales of the green tea. And it was, or since then, it is something which is more practiced in the north, so more around Shizuoka. Shizuoka is very well known for Fukamushi. Is often when you talk about Fukamushi, people refer as well more to Shizuoka, but it is also coming more and more in the south, because it just makes it, or gives the tea this lightness, this sweetness, this roundness, which is a very nice aspect of the tea. And I think this is something also more and more people will pick up on in the next times. Also, or in the next time or in the future, concerning Japanese green tea, that Fukamushi style is definitely a tea which can evolve. One a little bit negative part, and this is especially for Japanese people, the aesthetics of the green tea is very important. So you need to have very beautiful, very tightly rolled, very nicely rolled leaves, but this is just not possible anymore with the Fukamushi. As you can see, this tea here, it is quite brittle. It has small leaves, so it's nearly a little bit of a powder form, which you can see here in the back. And the reason is that the salmon brands, they get weaker and the leaves start to break in the rolling process and when they're dried. So the tea gets a little bit more dusty, but what it does, as I said before, it really sweetens the tea, and that's why also Japanese younger people tend to go in the direction more of the Fukamushi and leaving a little bit away the aesthetics and going more for the taste. This is the only negative part that I found so far. So on the aesthetic side, you can definitely buy more beautiful teas, but on the taste side, this is definitely a tea which is worth trying and a little bit discovering if you ever have the chance to do so. So I will now here, I will start with this one here. And I'm just gonna take 5 grams. And what is also nice about the Fukamushi is that you don't have to steep it very long. So after 45 seconds already, this tea will be done, and it will give its taste already in a very, very nice way to the water. So we're gonna just leave it in. Here I prepared tea water for 60 degrees. This is absolutely my favorite temperature, so we talk about 140 Fahrenheit. If you want to go higher, that thanks to the fact that the Fukamushi is a little bit sweeter, you can even push the degrees a little bit up to maybe 70. 80 is often promoted as the green tea temperature. I tend to go down a little bit because it just brings more of the sweetness a little bit. So 80 degrees would be 176 Fahrenheit. Good. So now we're gonna have this already. So 45 seconds are very fast done. And what you can see is really that they have a beautiful, beautiful green tea. And this is the one we often see in the ads for Japanese green tea. It's not that they use a fake tea or they kind of color up the tea. It's just that it is from a visual side, from the green tea water side, it is a very beautiful tea, and this is what you can see. And when you look at the leaves, small leaves, you cannot see them very well, so they're quite small. I can show them to you like this. So you can see they're quite small leaves and not entire leaves, so more kind of broken down leaves, which is in kind of when you look at for example for tea bags. In tea bags, it's not a Fukamushi what they use when they do a Shincha. It's just in the tea bags they start to cut down the tea very, very small parts to just optimize the surface. Here it is a natural way that the tea breaks a little bit more, but it's not a process which breaks them down to smaller leaves. That's the difference to the tea bags. And now let's have a sip of this one here. So this is a shaded Fukamushi Shincha. In the beginning, Very, very sweet, savory. You have a little bit of sweet corn, and you have no astringency coming. You have a little bit of slight acidity coming with it, which is normal when you have teas from Shizuoka. There's a slight acidity always with it, but it's thanks to the Fukamushi, this is really, really dimmed down, so you don't have a very, very strong kind of taste aspect of this taste profile, and it's very strong in this sweet flavor profile. It's nicely round. Have a little bit of a sweet corn, a roasted sweet corn flavor, but then it goes directly or goes pretty fast into a fruity or in the floral note. This one here I'm drinking now is a little bit more on the fruity side, so I get a little bit of mango. I get a little bit of I have a slight avocado note with it, a little bit of pineapple as well. These are really the fruits. I even get a little bit of red fruits, like a little bit of raspberry. Very, very nice. So it's quite a sweet tea, and this is actually what a Fukamushi style tea really brings to you, is more of this kind of fruity or very fruity aspect. You have a rare teas which go in this direction. Either they are quite on the grassy, on the spinachy side, if they are normal sencha, and if you have a kind of a more of Gyokuro style sencha, there you have a strong, this kind of savoriness, which is pretty well developed. Shows a little bit of fruitiness, but the savory taste profile stays with the tea. Here you have a little bit of a savory taste profile, but then leaving space a lot for more of a fruity and more of a sweet taste profile. That's why I think also for people who are not too much into this super strong savoriness, which might come from a Gyokuro, also a good start or a good dive into the world of Japanese green tea could be in the direction of the Gyokuro. A first step could be also a Fukamushi style steamed tea. Now let's go to number 2. Good. So you can see that they clog a little bit the holes of the Q-sus, so the water rolls out a little bit slower. There are even Q-sus which are especially done for the Fukamushi, which just have here a strainer inside all around the teapot, and just have a little bit of a distance to the wall, so it doesn't clog. But this tea pot is pretty good. It has a pretty wide holes. That's why it works also pretty well with the Fukamushi, so I don't need an extra Fukamushi style teapot. So you often have it in the Japanese green tea that the first brewing is really strong on the umami side, so a little bit on the savory side, but this dims down a little bit, and in the Fukamushi this means that you have an even fruitier tea with the second steeping, which is really nice if you're going in the direction of or looking a little more for kind of a more fruitier aspect. Here definitely in the second brewing, this part of the tea has much more space to evolve and gives much more taste. There's always a little bit of a slight acidity rolling with the tea, but as I said before, it's quite smooth and it's not astringent, not too astringent. If you're very kind of sensitive to the astringency, you might notice it a little bit stronger, but normally, so as a normal tea, this tea is a very smooth and very nice tea. On very sweet, on the fruity side. Good, and slowly I feel the energy of the tea rolling into me. Now, today a little bit lower energy tea video. I hope you liked this one too. Personally, I'm a big fan of Fukamushi, of deep steamed tea, green tea from Japan. I will guide you through a little bit different ones. I will guide you a little bit to see how can you really a little bit look which taste profile you might like better. And this is something I will dive into certainly more in the next videos as well. But this one was just now an easy introduction into deep steamed Fukamushi video, Fukamushi style brewed style steamed tea, and I hope you like this one. Thanks a lot for watching and have a great day. See you next week, because today is Friday, tomorrow off and Sunday off, but on Monday I'll be back. Thanks a lot, have a great day and see you soon. Bye.